there's no place like home for the holidays. And no matter how far away you roam, if you pine for the sunshine of a friendly gaze, for the holidays you can.
Welcome back to another episode of Horror for the Holidays, a Christmas horror movie podcast. I'm Jay Logsdon.
And I'm Jeff Searcy.
And Jeff, here we are, week 6 of the Spooktacular.
Yeah.
Just barreling on, continuing with our Halloween movies.
I just got to keep on going with this.
Just keep on keeping on. No, just kidding. We're back to normal. We're back to Christmas horror movies.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we are.
Well, I watched Pumpkinhead 3, Jay. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
going to be pretty awkward.
Oh, well, I'm excited to talk about it next year.
I'll remember that next year.
Can the Pumpkinheads fly in Pumpkinhead 3?
Oh, you know they can.
Because I was so disappointed that Pumpkinhead 2, they couldn't fly.
They fly now.
Also, man, partied too hard for Halloween. That's why my voice is scratchy. I was telling Jeff off the air. I came down with something like days before Halloween, and then finally felt like I was on the mend, and then my voice took a shit, and I was like, oh cool, great, I'm gonna have this terrible voice but actually feel awesome. Where all the previous days I felt like shit but sounded fine.
Nice.
Excellent stuff.
That's what we want. That's good.
Yeah, real quality podcasting.
Professional podcasting here.
Well, let's get into it. Let's do what we did a year ago today, pretty much. I guess 3 days from today,
Yep.
And talk about 2023's It's a Wonderful Knife.
Woke cringe, Jay. I don't want to watch this woke cringe. I was promised if Trump won that I wouldn't have to deal with woke cringe anymore.
Well, too bad. Oh boy. Released November 10th, 2023. Hey Jeff, we went opening day.
We did.
Directed by Tyler McIntyre, written by Michael Kennedy, who also wrote Freaky 2020, the Freaky Friday slasher parody, and the upcoming Valentine's slasher Hard Eyes, which I sent you the trailer. Looks like a lot of fun.
It looks very interesting.
Jane Widdop stars as Winnie Carruthers, our lead. We've got Joel McHale as her father, David. I know him best as Jeff Winger from my favorite show, Community.
Yes.
Big Community fans. I know Jeff's a big Community fan too.
I am, yes.
Justin Long plays our villain, Henry Waters. And he's just great in everything. I was thinking back, I was like, in 2006, I don't know that I would have sat there and I would have been like, Justin Long's gonna wind up being every time I see him in something, he's a delight. I think I watched Accepted, was that the fake college movie he did?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I was like, he was fine. He was in, I think he was in those Mac and PC commercials or whatever, and I'm like, he's fine. And now every time I see Justin Long in something, I'm like, he's just a delight. He's just so much fun in every movie he's in.
Well, he does have some horror credentials, Jake.
That he does.
He was in Jeepers Creepers.
And Barbarian.
Yes.
And Tusk? Is that the other one?
I don't know if I consider that a credential, but yes.
Jess McLeod plays Bernie, who's kind of our Clarence character. It's a Wonderful Knife. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Couldn't find the budget for the movie.
From what I saw, because Shudder, like all streaming services, seems to keep whatever their budgets are pretty close to the vest. People were saying around $3 to $4 million. It was the estimate that a lot of people were getting from production related.
That's disappointing. It only made 1.3. But also, not every movie needs to make money.
Well, yeah, as to say, was that the theatrical gross?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure it more than made up for it from streams on Shudder.
But you kind of, it's one of those things where you kind of sit there and you go like, it was only in theaters for like a weekend. Like, of course it didn't do very well.
Well, and I mean, a lot of people were probably in the situation we are now because we went to see this at the AMC, which is now closed.
Yeah. We literally said on our stocking stuffer episode, we were like, man, it'll be a real shame if that AMC closes. That's the last AMC in Des Moines. And the day we released the episode, they announced they closed our AMC.
Yep. So yeah, I mean that could be why it underperformed.
Yep. And I think it was the same thing for Christmas Bloody Christmas, was in theaters for a weekend, and then immediately went to streaming or whatever. Where to watch? Shudder, currently available actually on Hulu as well.
Yes.
You can buy Blu-ray DVD copies places. I'm sure you could probably rent it on Amazon too.
Oh, basically anywhere you want to pay for it, you can.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want it included with your streaming services, the best places to do it are Shudder and Hulu.
And then personal experience, Jeff. I mean, we saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, we went opening day. We were hyped for it because we were going to have this, and then the following week or whatever, Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So we were like, this is going to be a good month.
And I mean, it was a good month. I mean, spoilers at the top. And granted, if you listen to our first ever stocking stuffer episode, you know.
Yes.
That we know exactly what we think. We loved both those movies.
That was part of what created Stocking Stuffers is like, we really want to talk about this, but we can't do a full review of it yet because it's not out.
Yeah, and we're not. Yeah, well, especially like I think like Thanksgiving, we can't keep going back to the theater to like
take notes.
To take notes.
Well, and we don't want to spoil everything for a movie that just came out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything else, or do you want to dive into it?
I think it's time to dive in.
So let's do our synopsis here. Oh, did I mention, since it is back to Christmas, we decked the halls? I don't know if I said that at the top or not.
I believe we did. Yes. There was one thing I wanted to mention, Jay.
Okay.
It chilled me to my core. This was filmed in Vancouver, Canada.
I know. When I saw that, I went, "Oh, Jeff's not gonna like that.
This is not good."
We start with an ad for Waters Cove, the new development that Henry Waters is building in the town of Angel Falls. It's very like, come on down to Waters Cove. It's gonna have 3 movie theaters and blah blah blah. It's this like really like upbeat commercial, and then it's Justin Long's character, and he's like, and you know what I say, Waters, or I'm Henry Waters, I'm the best, fuck the rest, or something like that.
You know what it really reminded me of? The Altoona outlets, how they used to run ads for that development all the time, and it took like 25 years for it to actually be finished.
And then you kind of go and you're like, it's fine. It's not.
It's okay.
The town gathers in the town square as Henry Waters lights the tree. In the town square, we meet Winnie and her family, her dad, David, her mom, Judy, her brother, Jimmy. And then we learn that her dad, David, works for Henry Waters. And Henry Waters kind of corners him, and he's like, hey, we need to go talk to Mr. Evans. He's the last house I need to be able to buy to build Waters Cove. And there's something about like, well, that's a historic landmark, he's not going to sell it to you. He wants his family to inherit it. And Henry Waters is like, well, let's go talk to him anyway, or whatever. And so
basically, I can buy anything I want. We just got to make him an offer high enough.
Yeah, we just got to, exactly. David and Henry go to Mr. Evans's house to convince him to sell, but he says he's going to leave it to his granddaughter, Kara, who we will learn is Winnie's best friend. And he insults Henry for basically being a piece of shit, and says to Henry, he's like, your dad admired David more than he admired you. Like, David's not even his real son, and he had more respect for David than he has for you.
Yep.
We meet Winnie's aunt, Gail, and her wife, Karen. Gail is, I think Gail is one of the stars of this movie. Every scene she's in, she's just a blast. Yes. So much fun. Kara picks up Winnie to take her to a Christmas party. Back at Mr. Evans's house, there's a loud banging on his front door, and he's kind of like, I already told you, Waters, like, I'm not going to sell. And the banging continues. And finally he goes and he opens the door, and there's just a snowman standing there. And he kind of looks around confused, and then like through the glass door bursts this like white clothed, faceless being that is the angel that was hanging on the Christmas tree in the town square.
It's like your traditional, like, I think in the late 1800s, early 1900s is when that style of angel was popular. But yeah, it's like your traditional Christmas tree topper angel.
And slits Mr. Evans's throat. At the party, we meet Darla, Winnie's boyfriend Robbie, and Bernie, who everyone refers to as Weirdo.
Yeah, you know, the nickname.
Yep. Kara and her boyfriend Eddie sneak away to kiss, and Kara then kind of goes, "Ew, what did you eat?" And as she like pulls away, blood starts pooling out of his mouth, and then we hear kind of like the slashing, like the shink noise or whatever.
Yep.
And then we get this side view of this large like candy cane steak sticking through the dude's neck. Mm-hmm. And I think sticking through like the back of his neck and head and sticking out of his mouth. And so Kara runs off. The angel catches up with her. She's like pounding on the door to be let in, for help. And then we watch the angel just like go and like stab her 8 times, like in front of all these people that are like onlooking.
Classic. Somebody should help her. Not me, but somebody.
Yeah, somebody should. The angel attacks Winnie, but she's able to escape by shattering, like by hitting the angel in the face with her camera, and it kind of shatters the camera. And she hides, but the angel is eventually able to find her, is about ready to kill her when her brother Jimmy shows up, is able to save her, and they run off. But the angel catches up, pins Jimmy to the ground, and is about ready to stab him when Winnie hooks 2 jumper cables to him, or to the angel, electrocuting and killing him. Winnie then takes off the mask to reveal that Henry Waters was the angel.
Damn him.
Surprise, surprise.
What a mystery.
Title card.
This is crazy, Jay. It's like the angel targets all of Henry Waters' enemies.
Weird. David and Jimmy are now doing the same ad for Angel Falls that we kind of got at the beginning, but now they're like, Carruthers and Sons and stuff like that. And it's a much more upbeat commercial, much less like ominous and fake. Like it's fake, but in like a cheesy family way, not fake in like a like
usual
I'm an evil person. Yeah. Winnie watches to the end of the ad, and then she's scoffing, like she scoffs and goes, "I can't believe that was the best take." We learned we are a year removed from the events of the beginning of the movie, and everyone is happy except Winnie, who is miserable. Her best friend is dead. She didn't get into the college she wanted to, and we will very shortly learn that her boyfriend Robbie is hooking up with Darla in secret.
And I think, wasn't it because it's implied that it was because of how long it took her to recover from her injuries, from all of her 10 stab wounds by the end of the chase, that she wasn't ready to go to college on time.
I know you wouldn't be if you one, killed a person,
yes,
and two like your best friend was murdered in front of you, you probably wouldn't be ready to go to college.
It's basically, it ruined her life.
Winnie runs into Buck, Henry's brother, who threatens her, even though the whole town is thriving. He's like, "I'll get you. I'll make you pay for this," or something like that.
Yeah.
Which the first time we meet Buck, he's like a real dumbass.
He's a real Will Arnett from Arrested Development.
That's a good way to describe him. That's very much what he is. Winnie gets a pink jogging suit, which she refers to as like a lesbian jogging suit, and then Gail's like, "Whoa, we would never be caught dead in something like that." But Jimmy gets a truck for Christmas. Winnie complains to her dad, and her dad just kind of tells her to let it go and move on. Which, once again, your kid almost got killed
1 year
killed
ago.
A person and watched their best friend die. Maybe don't tell your kid to move on. Oh, it's only been a year.
I was going to say, especially after 1 year. If it had been 20 years and she was still all hung up on it, it'd be like, I think it's time to move on. But yeah, it's literally 1 year later.
It's 1 year to the day.
Yes. Nah, you should be over that. Good 6-week recovery period. You'll be right back at it.
Realizing everyone grieves differently, everyone mourns differently, but it's like, maybe don't tell your kid after a year when they almost lost their life to get over it.
I'm just going to go ahead and say, generally, murdering someone, almost being murdered yourself, and watching your best friend of your entire life die, that's probably not going to be too faded after 1 year.
Right. Winnie goes to Robbie's house party, runs into Bernie, who tries to talk to Winnie, but kind of gets abused by everyone else at the party. They keep calling her weirdo and stuff. She finds out that Robbie and Darla are hooking up and have been sneaking around, I think, for about a year.
It seems like it.
And then yells at Bernie, I don't need help from you, because Bernie was trying to, spare her feelings.
Well, you see, you were all stabbed and couldn't have sex, so, I had to do something. What do you expect me to do?
Winnie goes out under the northern lights, surrounded by Christmas lights on this wharf, and says, everyone would be better off if I was never born. Sound familiar? And the northern lights like kind of increase in intensity. And then suddenly, like all the Christmas lights just shut off, and Winnie finds herself surrounded in darkness. She kind of walks around, finds a guy kind of standing on a corner, and asks him for help. Only for him to turn around, he's been stabbed in the eye with the angel's knife. The angel appears, and as Winnie runs away, she runs past a sign with Henry Waters' face on it, as though he's still alive.
I believe when she said, "I wish I was never born," I leaned over to you and said, "Oh my God, she said the thing."
I think you did. Winnie breaks the window to a police car and tries calling for help, just to get startled by Buck, who is now apparently the county sheriff.
Oh boy. No, couldn't think of a more qualified candidate.
And it's like, apparently, like, she, at one point when he says something like, what happened to Sheriff Roberts? And he's like, Sheriff Roberts has been dead for about a year now. He was the 5th victim of the angel killer. Yeah. He's like, I got appointed sheriff. How many killings have been there since then? I don't know. We're at 25 now.
Yeah. But that's a good, because the angel was only up to 4 victims before she killed him, so that's a good hint right there that something has changed, obviously.
Henry shows up alive and well and bosses Buck around, and kind of intimidates Winnie at one point when he's like, oh, she knows who did it. And she's like, well, it was a guy in an angel costume. Because, Henry's alive now. There's something going on here. And then, and so he kind of like makes some comments towards her. And then she's like, well, come to think of it, Mr. Waters, he was about your height. Like,
yeah, she toes the line, definitely.
Winnie goes to her house looking for Jimmy. Her mom is drunk on the couch, and her aunt and dad don't recognize her. Aunt Gail tells her that Jimmy is dead and died a year ago and was one of the victims of the angel killer. And she's then told to leave. She goes through town finding people homeless, storefronts closed and abandoned, taped up, windows broken. But Waters Cove has been completed, we see.
Oh, yes, of course.
The new district, the new development. Winnie goes to the house party, and Vicky, one of her friends from like the previous scene, instead of like taking a weed edible, is smoking crack with Robbie's creepy neighbor. Yikes. That's a big jump. Mm-hmm. She runs into Bernie. And tries to convince her to help, but no one at the party knows her otherwise. Like, she was never born.
It's a random person. Yeah.
Robbie's neighbor and Vicky go outside to smoke more crack and look at the lights. Vicky then turns around and goes inside. As the angel attacks the neighbor with an axe, we get this chase scene kind of through the backyard, but we get this great moment where like the guy kind of thinks he has the angel fought off, and they're standing on a deck. And all the people in the party are like listening to music and partying, and no one's looking out the window. But in the background, we see like the dude get overpowered by the angel, and then just axed multiple times, blood splattering all up on the window and stuff.
That is a great one.
Bernie is finally convinced to leave with Winnie because Winnie's kind of the only person who stands up for her. Winnie and Bernie then go to Bernie's house, where she kind of says, she's kind of built a conspiracy wall trying to connect, put together who this murderer is.
Well, and isn't this the point where her Aunt Gail's like, she tells her like, I was never born or whatever, but I'm your niece.
That's a little later.
And she's like, oh yeah, okay.
And so at one point, Winnie's basically like, I know who it is. I know it's Mayor Waters. I know Mayor Waters did this. And Bernie kind of like doesn't believe her. And then she's like, well, I think it's really interesting that you showed up and all these murders started happening. And I just got word that Robbie's creepy neighbor got murdered at the party and you were there. Like, and so, and then Winnie's like, you really think I did it? You really believe I did it? And, and then Bernie's like, well, how can I be so sure? And then a blow mold comes flying in through the window, and the angel killer runs in, climbs in through the window after them. I just loved that timing.
That was a pretty good scene, yeah.
The girls flee and they hide out at the movie theater Bernie works at. The theater on the marquee is apparently showing a movie called I Know What You Did Last Christmas, and if that's an Easter egg, That sounds very promising. I want to see I Know What You Did Last Christmas.
That would be good.
The next morning, Winnie wakes up and Bernie has done some research that the aurora borealis in town is normally not visible, but according to like old town folklore, it's the spirit of someone who died violently.
Ah.
And so, they think it relates back to Henry Waters.
Henry Waters fucking with me. That's what this is.
Winnie and Bernie go back to Winnie's house to try and convince her dad. And this is where she kind of talks to Aunt Gail. And at one point, Aunt Gail's like, she's like listing things like, you're my mom's sister, such and such and such and such. Mm-hmm. And then Aunt Gail's like, tell me something I don't know. And she's like, back in 1999, your ass froze to the ground because you were sitting outside in an Aguilera style thong. And then Aunt Gail's like, I always knew that would bring people together. Which is just a great moment. Yeah. Winnie's able to get upstairs and talk to her dad to try and convince him that she needs help. But he kind of, when she then like slips up and calls him dad, he kind of freaks out and storms out of the house. And so they're kind of getting ready to leave. Winnie confronts her mom and her mom's drug dealer / side piece.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of, she's very disgusted by this. And then they kind of go back in. Winnie goes back in one last time to give her a piece of her mind. And they've both been killed by the angel killer who's now standing in the house.
Crazy.
Gives chase throughout the house. They get to the top of the stairs, push him down the stairs.
Classic.
And
Real Nutcracker Massacre.
Yeah. And then they got to like climb over the angel killer to get out of the house. And so they're kind of stepping gingerly. And then Winnie's like, well, if I kill Mayor Waters, I should be able to, we should be able to fix the timeline. Mm. So she picks up the knife and goes to remove the mask so she can kill Mayor Waters, except it's her dad.
Oh no, another angel.
The Aurora, the girls then run as the dad kind of gives chase, but they're able to get out. They arrive back at the movie theater as the Aurora Borealis is kind of fading up above them. And they make a plan to kill Winnie's dad. To lure him inside, they change the marquee on the movie theater to say, Merry Christmas, David. We are inside.
Classic. I like that. Nice tone.
They think they have David like in the movie theater. They think they have him all set up, but it's actually Robbie and Darla who just arrive.
Yeah.
And then as everyone is distracted, David kills Gail and then cuts the power out in the movie theater. We then get this great scene as Winnie uses her camera to kind of like the flash on the camera to create enough light, but it kind of just like illuminates, like you just get like glimpses, but you just get the angel killer like killing Darla.
It was a really well filmed scene. I liked it.
I think it looks so cool.
Yeah.
It's such a unique thing. I don't think I've ever seen something done exactly that way before. I think I've seen similar things, but I don't think I've ever seen it like a movie do it exactly that way.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have either.
They are able to restore power as David chases them to the lobby. And then Winnie starts like kind of running up the stairs and acts like she trips. So David kind of runs around the corner to go get her and gets impaled on, I think, what is like a sharpened broom handle or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a shovel or something.
It's a broken handle of something. Yeah.
Bernie and Winnie go back to the spot where Winnie had made the wish. And Bernie reveals that she had planned on committing suicide that Christmas. That was going to be her last day. And that Winnie kind of saved her life and they hug. Winnie wishes for her life back, but the Aurora Borealis doesn't respond. And so they go to the town square to kill Henry Waters.
Again.
The whole town has pretty much gathered. There was like a thing about like Mayor Waters will decide if you're naughty or nice or something like that. And the whole town standing there, and they all have kind of like glowing blue eyes, and they're under Mayor Waters' spell / the powers of the Aurora Borealis.
Right here in your kitchen?
Yep. The whole time. That's all I could think. Anytime they were like, the Aurora Borealis, I was like, right here? Right here in Angel Cove?
Localized in this kitchen?
Can I see it? No. Henry tells Buck that he has been naughty and stabs his own brother. And Henry's wife says, only Henry Waters can give you what you need. He's an angel. He's your angel.
Is that a hint, Jay? Is that a hint?
Winnie and Bernie confront him, and after fighting with him for a bit, and actually launching him into the crowd and kind of breaking his spell, Bernie is finally able to stab him in the gut, and Henry dies, and the aurora intensifies around the girls as they start to kiss before they fade away. Winnie wakes up in her room in the pink jogging suit from earlier, hugs her parents, who tell her, "You were really drunk last night. Promise me you'll never get that drunk again."
Yep.
Hugs her brother, who's now still alive, and her aunts. And they're about to open presents when Winnie remembers Bernie. Winnie runs down the street wishing everyone a Merry Christmas, a la Scrooge in A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Even runs into Darla and Robbie and gives them her blessing. She gets to Bernie's house and tells her that she matters, and that, basically, don't go through with it. Bernie, you matter. You're an important person. You're part of my life. And Bernie at first kind of acts like she doesn't remember it, but she actually remembers the whole thing.
Yes.
Winnie then tells Bernie, "Get your shit together, weirdo." And Bernie goes, "Don't ever call me weirdo again." And Winnie says, "You got it, Bernie." And then the credits roll. End of movie. Very kind of heartwarming ending.
Roll credits. Woke.
Man, there were gay people in this movie.
Good ending. Woke.
We'll get to that, Jeff. We'll get to those reviews in a second. Where do you want to start for our categories?
Let's talk about the Christmas spirit, Jay. We haven't had that discussion in feels like almost 5 weeks.
You're right. Christmas spirit. How Christmassy is the movie? How Christmassy are the kills?
Kills mildly.
Movie I thought was I would say I'm like on a Hallmark level.
Yeah, it does. It has that almost. It's almost like, because there is a lot of Christmas stuff in a lot of the frames, but it really feels like it wasn't really the focus of any of the shots. Like, you don't really get any of those nice, like in some of these movies, you get the nice like decoration shots, where you get the nice long shots of like all the Christmas lights or the cool decorated Christmas tree. This felt really more just like part of the set.
I mean, when we get to it, people who've seen Terrifier 3, the house in Terrifier 3,
Yes.
you get that beautiful like
exterior shot of all the stuff.
Yeah, you don't really get a ton of shots like that, but you do get tons of like interior shots with Christmas lights and stuff like that.
You get a lot of, it's good in the background, so I'm going to give it a medium, because while it's not the focus of the movie, there's not too many like memorable things on display. There is a lot of Christmas,
but
in the movie.
Yeah, and kills, I would kind of agree with you, like fairly medium. It being an angel on top of the tree, I don't, it's kind of a weird looking angel.
Yeah.
Would I prefer maybe like a killer Santa or something like that?
I think I think that may be one of the reasons why this did not, a lot of people, when they saw the trailer for this, weren't a big fan of the trailer. I think it's just because the angel costume really doesn't pop as like a slasher costume.
No, it's like a weird, I mean, I've got the DVD right here. It's this weird like white kind of faceless hooded, like I'd say like a ghost face style like white hood.
It's very Scream reminiscent, but it doesn't have that same iconic look as the ghost face mask.
Yeah, and then just the face itself is just kind of like at Spirit this past Halloween, I think we've sold it for a while. There's just like a silver mask that is see-through on the inside, but it's just kind of like rounded silver on the outside. Yeah. And that's kind of what this reminds me of, except it's white, not silver.
Yeah. I think a little bit more, if they had leaned into the angel motif a little bit harder, or if they had gone with a more defined mask, I think it could have been a more memorable costume.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, I'd love to get a tattoo of the angel killer, but it's not. There's nothing that like really strikes you as like iconic.
People, for the rest of your life, people would be like, "What's that?"
Exactly.
Whereas if you get like Ghostface on your arm, people are going to know that's Ghostface.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that was I was about to say the exact same thing. But I will say, I mean, we do get some very Christmassy kills. One, an axe kill.
Yes, the axe kill is undeniably Christmassy.
And then also the candy cane stake through the back of the head.
Yes.
That's a great kill.
Yes, I think those two really carry it, because a lot of it's just your standard, I'm stabbing you, or with improvised weapon or knife.
Well, and I think the jumper cables kill.
Yes, that was an interesting kill.
I think is related directly to like how they were powering the Christmas lights for the party, because there was like a scene with like a generator, someone turning on a generator, and like that's how the Christmas lights turned on. And I think that's kind of the electrocuting of Henry Waters at the beginning that she gets the power cables from that generator or something like that.
I believe, yes, that they're like at a cabin or whatever that does not have its own power source. So yeah, they're powering it with a generator. And yeah, she basically, I guess you could say that's kind of an extended form of death by Christmas light power source.
You're right. I mean, I think we'll get some more iconic Christmas light kill. We've already gotten some. I think we'll get some more, but that one's kind of tangentially there.
I mean, it's got enough. I'll say that it does enough to make you feel like it's Christmas. It does enough to remind you that it's a Christmas slasher, but it's not going to go over the top.
It was one of those that as rewatching it, I'm like. It doesn't feel like I'm like, I don't know how Christmassy this feels. And then I was kind of sitting there and I was like, I was thinking about it. I was like, but when we saw this in theaters, I left the theater and I was like, God damn, that felt Christmassy. And so I'm like, maybe it was the big screen. Maybe it was the fact that I was like, I had kind of the sun peeking through my blinds. It wasn't like a dark theater or something like that.
Well, and we were well into the Christmas spirit by that time last year. This year, I don't know. It seems like Halloween lasted longer than it usually does.
I agree with that. You wouldn't find us complaining about that, but it does feel a little weird.
I haven't got into the full Christmas spirit yet.
Same here, which I think is odd for both of us.
Yes, it's coming soon to a theater near you.
What next? Do you want to do Christmas carols, favorite quotes?
Sure.
I got a bunch for this one.
Well, go ahead and start reading because I got to pull up my list.
All right, so right off the top, Henry Waters, I'm the best, so fuck the rest. Buck Waters, yo, TikTok, if you ever want to see my dick, Merry Christmas to you. Hard to fit it under the tree, though. Judy, don't do any. Judy, which is Winnie's mom, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Gail, and then Aunt Gail, oh no, get fucked up. And then Judy gasps, Gail, and then Gail gasps, Judy.
What was will you be my Clarence? She gives her the exasperated eye roll. Absolutely.
No, that was a good one. Christmas lights come on. Some random dude goes, fuck yeah, Christmas, woo! And starts giving high fives. And I just thought that was really funny.
Yes.
It reminds me of the dude in Thanksgiving who's just like, woo, Thanksgiving, yeah! Like, no one's ever that excited for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, was it when Bernie figures out that it's not all like she's not faking it? It's like, holy crap, you're telling the truth. You don't exist.
I have one related to that. Bernie, when did being unborn hurt?
Oh my God.
Winnie, when she puts on the pink jogging suit her dad got her for Christmas, she just goes, Jesus, Christmas.
What was it? I lost out on my dream for college. And my best friend was murdered. Isn't it time we moved on from this?
Winnie shows up at the party to Vicky's to find Vicky like throwing edibles like back and forth with this old man, and so Winnie goes, "Who is this old asshole?" And then Vicky goes, "Robbie's weird neighbor? I don't know. He brought weed gummies though. Want one?" Isn't it just a big coincidence that as soon as you show up, all these murders start happening? And FYI, your creepy neighbor is dead. As he's just still referred to as the creepy neighbor. I think he does. We do learn his name, but I just had him as creepy neighbor the whole time. Quit pursing your lips, Vicky. Your mouth looks like an asshole.
Yeah.
And then the last one I have is when Winnie first realizes starts to realize she's in the like in a different timeline, and Buck is now sheriff. Can we get some more of that caution tape? I feel like we need to be a little more cautious here.
Yeah,
which is just an excellent line. That was it for me.
I don't have any more quotes from the actual movie, but I watched the Red Letter Media review of this from their last Christmas special, and the opening monologue quote from Jay, the other Jay, that reviews Christmas horror movies.
Oh, man.
He said, It's a movie that will make you think, was this made by embarrassingly woke Canadians from another planet? And I was like, I'm sure my Jay is going to love that. I think we're going to have to get into a feud with Red Letter Media at some point, Jay. They're one state over. They have a guy named Jay. We have a guy named Jay.
I mean, I think they have way more...
They just have 1 million subscribers,
right.
Jay.
We got like 30 something. Yeah, we can take them.
We'll take them.
First, we'll take down Dude Dad, and then we'll come for them.
Dude Dad's already dead, Jay. I haven't seen his Twinkies in a hot minute. Have you?
That's a good point. I haven't seen the Twinkies.
See, told you. We won. Mission. Where's my mission accomplished banner?
I mean, it would be fitting. Mission accomplished. The guy's still alive and has way more subscribers than us. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Dude Dad's been defeated.
Dude Dad defeated. Red Letter Media, you're next.
We're coming for you. How about Christmas wrapping, set costume design, etc.?
We already talked a little bit about the sets, but I like them for the most part.
I like the town.
Yeah, the town's cool. Even though it's the central main evil thing in the movie, I thought the Waters development looks very realistic. Mm-hmm. Like something I would see probably in Urbandale.
For a movie that I felt used a lot of CGI, like there's a lot of scenes where you're like, there's a lot of stuff where you're like, that's probably CGI, but it doesn't look terrible.
Yes, it looked good. They made sure to make it look passable.
A little more on that later, though.
But, I like this town's giant Christmas tree and the whole tree ceremony. I thought that was well done.
I loved like kind of the aerial shots we got of the town. It looked like a fun place to live. You got that wharf, you've got those mountains, you've got the northern lights kind of peeking through. Like I was like, that looks like it'd be a fun place to live.
I like the Evans house from the beginning. That was a cool old house. I like that set. I like the living room design with his Christmas tree and all of his stockings and everything up.
As much as we said the angel costume isn't like the most iconic thing, like it's not a bad slasher killer.
It's not bad. It's not like, the Nutcracker from Nutcracker Massacre or something, but and
I wouldn't say, I'm like, 2 weeks later we got John Carver, which I think is going to be a way more iconic outfit.
Well, and see that still, even a year later, is still kind of coloring my opinion of this movie because I saw it so close to Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is just such a great movie that it's hard to compare it to other slashers.
Right. No, and I think that's where you and I both kind of came out. Granted, and by that time we'd already seen, it'd been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks since we'd seen this. Yeah. And it'd been like a week since we seen Thanksgiving when we recorded that stocking stuffer. So even then, I think we were kind of like, our memory of the movie was fading.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were a handful of scenes rewatching this where I'm like, oh, isn't that where this happens? And I'm like, I think I'm thinking of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I got one of those because I was like, when is the thing going to happen on Black Friday when he has to leave? I was thinking of her dad, David, and I'm like, oh, wait, no, that's the dad from Thanksgiving.
I thought the cast was great in this movie. I thought like top to bottom, I think whoever did the casting did a great job. I don't think anyone, I don't think there was a bad actor in the bunch.
No one let it down. There was no like noticeably bad actor to point at.
Especially after we've had some real bad actors in some of our recent movies.
Yes.
Like, to suddenly have a movie where like, everyone seemed really committed to the movie and was pulling their weight. I was just really impressed with that.
I mean, Joel McHale and Justin Long, you can pretty much trust that they're going to be good in pretty much anything they do.
Yep. And then I think they gave Justin Long like big, like shiny white veneers.
Yes.
And he just, and I'm just like, every scene he's in, you almost feel like he's chewing the scenery with his big white veneers.
He will not stop flashing those teeth.
Broken bulb, brilliant bulb. One thing you want to fix, one thing you want to praise, Jeff.
The thing I wanted to fix most of all was make the angel killer more iconic. For a movie that is so focused on having a central slasher villain and you're never going to escape comparisons to things like Scream. I mean, you just can't. Scream exists, so it's going to be compared to it. and the costume design just feels lackluster compared to it. And like we said, I believe in our stocking stuffers about both movies, John Carver's look like blows this out of the water. I mean, even though still don't hear much buzz about Thanksgiving. One of the Toonie, those Toonie Terrors figures?
Yes.
Yeah, they have a John Carver, but they don't have an angel.
Right.
So it's just an iconic design, I think. But this one, I know that it's not that important because it's not a bad costume, but I think, honestly, it could have drawn in a lot more people to the movie if they had an iconic killer to put on the poster.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think it's neat for what it is, but I'm like, you're not going to build a franchise.
No.
Unfortunately, you're not going to build a franchise out of that outfit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even, I wouldn't even consider it on like the B tier, like the My Bloody Valentine minor killer. He's got a better look than the angel.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So,
no, like you said, if you get a tattoo of this, you're going to then be explaining to people.
Yeah.
Well, one, how do you get a tattoo of this? Because it would just be like robes and then just kind of a rounded face with no eyes or mouth.
It would be an easy tattoo for whoever's going to do it.
But like but then the other aspect is then you're having to explain to people and even bona fide horror fans.
They're going to be like, "What's that?"
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me because, I mean, there really wasn't anything else like super wrong with the movie. I mean, unless we're going there, Jay. Are we going there yet?
No, I think we'll go there in a minute. My broken bulb, lots of CGI blood splatter in this movie. Scenes where, it's one of those things where I'm like, Mother Krampus 2 didn't have that, and I'm just like, have real blood and makeup effects on set. Like, I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it would have ballooned your budget that much.
I almost went with that, but I'm like, no, Jay and I always both talk about the gore. And I'm like, no, this time I'm going to do something different.
Like I think the scene where the angel kills the creepy neighbor.
Yes.
And like, you get this great scene of like him being killed through the window and all the people watching it. And the angel killer's just like driving this axe down into the neighbor, blood splattering up onto the window in front of, and it's just CGI blood. Yeah. I mean, just like, you could just have someone hidden below spraying blood up onto the window. And I just think it would look cooler. It
really takes a lot of the impact out of the kills. And like you said, it's not, I mean, if the budgets are to be believed, this had about the same budget as Terrifier 3, and look what they did with their gore effects.
Right.
It's like there really is no excuse.
And it's a small thing, but it's just like because I was just thinking back, I'm like, what movie did we watch recently where we were praising how great like the practical effects looked? I went, Mother Krampus 2, which had, I'm sure, like less than a third of this budget.
Oh yeah, if Mother Krampus 2 had $1 million budget, I would be shocked.
Right. Oh, I think that's even what we said. We'd love to see these people given like a multi-million-dollar budget.
But no, I definitely agree with you, and it's something that really, it is a small choice to make, and it's a cost-saving choice, but it really does cut a lot of the impact out of a slasher movie.
Yep.
To have CGI blood.
Brilliant bulb. Thing you want to praise?
I wanted to praise Justin Long's performance in particular. He makes it's so easy to hate him, but at the same time, he's so charismatic that you kind of want to see him succeed.
Oh, he's so incredibly hateable.
Even though what he's doing is terrible, and he's just like the total smarmy, rich asshole that you love to hate. There's something about him that's just like, if the angel does kill these people, I wouldn't be that broken up about it.
Justin Long, like I think like we said, Joel McHale, Justin Long, and I think the Ant are certainly like the three kind of big stars of the movie. But yeah, even of those three, Justin Long is like the most is the person I'm probably going to think of the most.
I mean, even without having a super well identified killer persona to lean on, he still manages to carry the movie pretty well.
My brilliant bulb. This movie just felt like it had a lot of heart. I kind of a weird thing to point out, but for me, it just felt like a lot of care and heart went into this movie. And I think it just kind of shows throughout. Like like I kind of said, we've seen a lot of movies lately where we felt like a lot of stuff's been kind of phoned in.
Yeah.
And it felt like everybody in this movie was kind of pulling in the same direction. As much as you and I would have loved to have seen, practical gore effects. Like,
I mean,
regardless of that, like I'm like everyone else, like it just felt like everyone had a shared kind of unified vision, and everyone was kind of pulling in that same direction.
I mean, what we really need to get back to is, like, in my opinion, this is a good movie. Not a great movie, not a bad movie. It's a good movie. And that's fine. People, like, they seem like they expect every movie to be amazing. And it's like, no, it's okay for some movies to just be good, enjoyable for what they are things.
No, I saw someone the other day, they were like, I think it was Twister was the movie. Maybe it was a post on like Reddit or on some social media. And someone was like, of all the, it was something along the lines of like having a numerical rating for movies kind of ruined movies, like having like the 5 stars or whatever kind of ruined movies. Cause they're like, Twister is a 3-star movie, but it's the most 5-star, 3-star movie that's ever existed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I kind of agree with that. I'm like, and that's kind of what I feel with like a lot of the movies we watch. I'm like, that we've seen some movies that I would consider classics, but a lot of the movies you and I say are good. Like, I think people would watch them and be like, that's fucking terrible. And I'm like, no, it's fun. Like,
no, it's just good. It's the same thing as now, a director can't just be good. A director either has to be the greatest director of all time or they suck. That's how people judge it, and that's how people judge movies now. I mean, it's really how they judge almost everything. I think it's just a symptom of the binary internet culture, where if you're not for something, you have to be against it.
Yep. Yeah, there can really be no gray area.
There's no middle ground. A movie can't just be good. Okay, if it wasn't great, then it was a stupid waste of my time.
Right. Even if you had fun, like no, it's either great or it's terrible.
Yes. That's like, because like, yes, there are definitely movies that are not great movies. There's some movies you could even consider that aren't good movies that you still enjoy. And when I say not good, I mean like from a technical standpoint, or maybe from like a production standpoint, or even maybe from like a story standpoint. It's not technically good, but it could still be good if you enjoyed it, because the purpose of a movie is to entertain you. So if it entertained you, then I would consider that a good movie, even if it would be labeled objectively bad.
Right.
And then there are movies that are just terrible, like Krampus the Christmas Devil.
Oh, man.
Or Trapped Alive.
Oh, boy.
Or The American Scream.
That's the thing, too. I just keep waiting for Krampus the Christmas Devil 2 to pop up. And it's one of those things where I'm like, it can't be worse, can it?
Oh, I've heard things, Jay. I've heard things.
Well, do you want to get into our final rating? Every episode of Horror for the Holidays, we rate our Christmas horror movie on one of 3 categories. Is it ho 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 hilarious? Is it seasonally scary? Or is it you'll be sorry? Jeff?
It is ho ho hilarious for me. It's definitely, like I said, it's a good movie. You're not going to come out of this movie and be like, wow, this movie changed my life. This was the best slasher I've ever seen. But you're probably also, if you're coming into this movie with the right expectations, not going to come out of it going, whoa, that was a stupid waste of my time. It's got heart, like Jay said. It's got good kills. It doesn't have the most memorable killer in the world. And the acting is good, but in most cases not great. And the story is, what you would expect it to be from a movie called It's a Wonderful Knife. It's an exploration of It's a Wonderful Life
as a slasher movie,
but as a slasher movie instead.
A thing I actually have in mind. One of my thoughts is like a thing you and I love, a la The Mean One, a la Letters to Satan Claus. We love like send ups of classic Christmas movies.
This is a movie that does what it says on the tin. It's what you paid for. When the people are always like, I wish I could get what I paid for. This is where you get what you paid for.
I completely agree. Ho 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 hilarious. This movie's a lot of fun. It's a quick watch, a very quick watch. I love the idea. Like I said, I love the idea. We've gone on record praising these parodies. The Mean One. It's Letters to Satan Claus, and now this. These kind of send ups, these homages to classic Christmas movies, but kind of doing their own way. And this one's no different. I love the cast. We've gushed about the cast multiple times. I love the kills. My only real complaint is that like it kind of does seem to fall apart a little bit, maybe in the last 10 minutes, like the Aurora Borealis giving Mayor Waters mind control powers. I was like, okay, this is getting a little silly now.
That's why I was like, the story is nothing to write home about. You're not going to be wowed by the story.
But I'm like, but otherwise, like, I'm like, no, it's not one of those where like the last 10 minutes ruins the movie.
But I mean,
it's just one of those where you're kind of like, that's a little weird, but whatever. Like, I had fun.
We really need to get realistic with that too, though, because there's a lot of people who look at all these slasher franchise with these rose-colored glasses about how great they are. But if you actually break down a lot of these movies, the story in them is pretty much just forgettable slop to facilitate people getting murdered.
Right, exactly.
And so it's like, I mean, in that regard, this one actually has a good through storyline you could follow from beginning to end. It's not just a series of kills. So, I mean, it's got that going for it.
Well, Jeff, you've already hinted at it a couple times, but
what was that, Jay? I heard something off in the distance. Whoa!
Yeah, we're getting close for Christmas. We're wrong. We're getting close for Christmas.
Woke, Jay. Anything I don't like, woke. Anything I do like, good.
Literally, all I had to do was go out to IMDb, go to the reviews, filter by worst review, and like the first one that popped up, literally like the second paragraph starts with all inclusive in quotes, if you know what I mean. And I went, oh, hey, there's the review I was looking for.
Woke, Jay. It's woke.
So it's a 1 out of 10 review. 0 out of 10, actually.
I love it when people do that.
I wish this movie was erased from my memory. A dull, all-inclusive, if you know what I mean, wannabe slasher horror comedy, which isn't gory, scary, or comic, which you mean comedic, but whatever. So that left us with a lame script that stole the premise from a Christmas classic and turned it into a boring, forgettable, and horrid Halloween/Christmas crossover. I don't know where the Halloween aspect comes in, but okay.
I don't want to be that guy, but It's a Wonderful Life is actually not that interesting of a movie either.
And I agree.
I've had to sit through it many times.
Also, if you have a brain, you know exactly what would happen as the movie goes by. I mean, I think 90% of the time in horror movies, people know what's going to happen.
I was going to say, I don't think this was supposed to be a movie where you're not supposed to know what was going on. I mean, it's pretty clearly spelled out for you what's going on. I mean, they don't even leave the fact that her dad is now an angel killer a mystery for that long.
And I would even argue, I think if you saw the previews, you knew Mare Waters was the angel killer.
Like, I mean, that was the entire premise to get you in the door was, so the last 10 minutes of your average slasher happens in the first 10 minutes of this movie, and then you're backtracking where you already know who the killer is.
Yep. So yeah, also if you have a brain, you know exactly what would happen as the movie goes by, which is even worse in horror movies because it blows off all the emotion.
It blows it off, huh?
Yeah. Also, the amount of LGBT characters is over the top. I mean, we get it. It's a thing. This year's of inclusion, but chill out a bit. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
This is not This is devolving into non-English at this point.
Anyway, don't waste your time on this. Mark my words, ungory, unscary, and unfunny.
Well, I think we found our new rating system, Jay. It's un or it is. That will just replace our categories with that.
Was this gory? Yes or no? No, this is ungory.
This is ungory. Rating this ungory.
I would kind of agree. Not over the top gore, but also I didn't go into this expecting a ton of gore.
No.
I'm not, I wasn't expecting Terrifier 3. I wasn't expecting Thanksgiving, which I thought was a very brutal movie.
Yeah.
No, I was expecting kind of a bog standard slasher, and I got kind of a bog standard slasher that was a parody of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes. I mean, it's not gory if you consider other horror movies, but I mean, to the average person, if they saw this, they would think it was gory.
Yeah, exactly.
It has kills. It has blood.
So yeah, that was my review. I'm sure your review is probably right along the same lines. If not,
my review is woke trash, Jay. I'm tired of all this woke trash. You know that they haven't released a good movie since 2016, Jay?
Was that when the Snyder Cut was released?
Yes. No, that might have been 2018. I don't remember. I think 2016 was original Justice League, so that also wasn't good.
Yeah. They wanted it to be good.
Well, as I look at this, Jay, it seems like more and more things have been woke for a long time. I don't know how Hollywood has invented a time machine and gone back and inserted woke characters into my favorite shows, but it's really starting to piss me off.
All these woke characters in Star Trek.
I know. I was watching Star Trek Voyager the other day. You want to know what woke bullshit I'm dealing with, Jay? There's a female captain, a black Vulcan, and they just had to throw in an Asian helmsman. Oh, and guess what? The first officer is a Native American, Jay.
Man, going back to Black Christmas 1974. It's about women's rights, kind of woke.
Shit's woke as hell, Jay. Tired of it.
It literally is. It was one of those things where you knew. Watching the movie, I'm just like, I know what the reviews are going to be. I don't need to go out of my way to like I'm not going to have to work hard to find the review I need, and I didn't have to work hard.
You know why those reviews work so well, Jay? It's because you don't have to actually read, or you don't have to read anybody's synopsis of the movie, or even do anything at all, or watch it. You just have to go, it's woke. I saw the trailer, it's woke.
I mean, for a lot of those people, I don't think they did read the review, because if they read the review, they'd be like, what the fuck, this isn't English.
Yeah. All right, Jay, here we go. I've ranted long enough. Woke. Anyway, horrors galore. I was horrified by this what seems to be hastily and sloppily thrown together movie. This must have been written by some stoned college dropouts. It was all over the place, predictable, but I guess tossing in some LGB romance, crack pipe smoking, and bloody stabbings is what passes for entertainment. How the hell did this make it to movie theaters? Should have went straight to VHS. I was surprised.
That would be wild in 2023.
I was surprised Joel McHale sullied his good name with this production.
Does Joel McHale have a good name?
I don't know. Honestly, I think he's pretty much only famous for Community, and that's just me.
The Soup, and I've seen a couple episodes of that Animal Control show, and he's basically playing Jeff Winger, but less
on another
redeemable.
show. Yeah. But that was a 1-star review, Jay, which 14 people found helpful.
Oh boy.
But don't think you're done, Jay. Because 1 star. The cast is good, and that's about the only thing that is. This movie tries to be a funny movie and a horror movie, but fails on both fronts. The idea is interesting, and if you're going to do another one of these types of movies, it's good to put a new spin on it. The only problem is, movie doesn't deliver on anything genuinely funny or scary. There's too many things that don't make sense. Starts as a bad movie, but at least it makes sense. Then they try to have a twist in the middle with the dad that doesn't make sense or add anything to the movie. Then the last 10 minutes, it really runs off the rails. I won't put any spoilers, but if you watch it, you'll see what I mean. It's basically a bad movie with a really bad ending.
And I disagree. They did kind of say some of the same stuff we did, but you and I seem to like it a lot better.
I'd say I wouldn't consider it a bad movie up till the twist. And I mean, Henry Waters literally explains the twist to you.
No, exactly.
He's like, yes, I broke your father by killing your brother.
Yep.
And made him my servant.
I didn't go into all of that, but yes, absolutely, that is a thing that happened.
They literally, like I said, if you're having trouble figuring out this movie, I think it may be a you problem.
Which is wild, because like, how can you lose focus on a movie that's only like 87 minutes long?
I want to shout out this name because I don't think it's a real name. This review is from J.J. Manners, but J spelled like you spell it, Jay.
Weird.
But twice.
And Agent Manners?
Yes, and Agent Manners. So bad it's not even funny. Terrible acting, dialogue, and story. Where to begin? I normally trust Justin Long's choices for smaller, mainstream movies like Tusk, Youth in Revolt, and A Case of You. By the way, I thought I was being pranked when my brother showed me Tusk. I'm like, this isn't a real movie. This is going to break into like an SNL skit, right? No, it's real. He even does silly roles in a few bad movies I liked, such as, what? You liked a bad movie? You're a monster. Anyway, movie 43, Accepted, and Yoga Hosers. He's been in plenty of movies that were not great, but this is far beneath him, and he was in the Chipmunks movies. I think I'm more annoyed at Justin Long being in this train wreck than the fact that they dare liken this travesty to the cinema classic, which again, I don't consider it a classic, but whatever. I think there are much better Christmas movies than It's a Wonderful Life.
I agree. It has iconic moments, and I think that's what holds it up.
But as a movie, not iconic. I mean, for me, if we're going classics, Miracle on 34th Street is the one that I try to rewatch every year.
And like your wife's a big Elf fan.
Yes, Elf. Well, I'm trying to go retro.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
As
For
far as
like classic.
as far as modern Christmas movies, there's a ton I would rather watch than It's a Wonderful Life. But yeah, he's annoyed at him for being in this travesty that ruins his memory of the cinema classic he's probably never seen. Nothing annoys me more. Just don't watch this and pray the morons that made it are never allowed near another film set again.
Oh, too late.
1 out of 10? Nope. 0 out of 10. They don't even get a point for trying.
Hey, kind of same thing. I wonder if it's the same guy.
And then I have one more selection for you, Jay, from my fine shelf. This one was a little more moderate. He gave it 2 stars. This is a 2-star review we're dealing with. Let's start with the good parts about this movie. Justin Long and the quality kill scenes. Great. Now that's out of the way. Which I think we would both agree with that.
Yeah.
Those are good parts. What makes It's a Wonderful Life such a beautiful journey is that George goes on to realize that he made the world a better place because of who he was as a person. However, the protagonist of It's a Wonderful Life makes the world a better place because of one action she performed. But she doesn't, though. She performs 2 actions.
Because she also saves Bernie's life.
Yes, I was going to say, because you think that Bernie is her Clarence, but actually she's Bernie's Clarence.
Yep. That's the biggest kind of twist in the whole movie.
That I would say that if you're looking for a twist, that was the biggest twist for me, was that Bernie was considering killing herself, and it's actually her being involved in this that stopped her from doing it. Because I'm sure in the main timeline, she would have just killed herself.
Yep.
So anyway, she makes it definitely better for more than one thing.
Yep.
And honestly, I think she also makes Buck a better person, too.
Yep.
Helps him stand up to his... Yes, he gets killed, but he stands up to his brother.
And I mean, her family falls apart when they only have one kid and that kid gets killed.
Yes. So she only makes the world a better place because of one action she performed. That's the main reason this movie fails. You don't relate with a character realizing that small positive interactions can make a real difference in life. You don't? How do you not relate to that? I think that's a pretty important lesson that, something you do that might seem insignificant might mean a lot more to somebody else.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you talk to that weirdo, you say at the party or whatever. It's like, maybe that's the only person they talk to all week. It might be something small for you, but it could be big for them.
Exactly.
Apparently, that's not a thing, Jay. We're just crazy. We're too woke.
Right.
Helping people in life, woke.
That's what I learned from watching this movie.
Let's see. Make a real difference, which we can then go on to do in our own lives. Instead, it's one huge action that 99.9% of us will never be presented with. Oh, so you're just mad you can't murder somebody, basically? I think this idea could have worked if she had shown kindness to someone in her day-to-day life that was maybe an outcast.
Bernie!
But without her, that person became a mass murderer. Instead of making the world better through selfless acts, she made the world better by a selfish act. Stopping a murderer?
Right. What?
Is a selfish act? Okay. Pass on this. 12 people found this helpful.
Oh, boy. Well.
All right. That's all I got for you, Jay. I'm not going to torture you anymore.
Yeah. Oh, man. Those were... Jeff, I admire your strength in not just picking like people being like woke garbage, too many gay people.
No, I tried to pick ones that were a little bit more highbrow than that.
Because I was like, I know those reviews. I know those reviews
everywhere.
are there. Yeah.
They are everywhere.
All right. Well, let's take Henry Waters and kind of place him on our naughty list here. My one kind of thought was, I'm like, he's supercharged by the Aurora Borealis to kind of have mind control powers. We don't know the extent of them.
Well, it seems like it's only working on this one group of people that he's been controlling for a long time. So I don't know how much we could factor that into like a one-on-one fight. I don't think he's going to have time to mind control somebody else.
But I mean, we do get some pretty brutal, some pretty gory kills. Like I think he'd probably be, I don't know how he'd fare against maybe the 2 Brooklyn Santas.
Honestly, I think if it came right down to it, I think he could probably take Brooklyn Santa. So I think we're going to have to put him above that.
And I'm like, I think he goes above Satan Claus, but I think he probably would lose to like a Mother Krampus too.
Yeah, or I mean, like, if it came down to it, Simon Phillips kick his ass.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think that's even a contest.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say he's like this movie. He's a solid mid-tier.
Yeah. No, that was kind of my thought. I'm like, if we don't know the extent of the thing, so I'm like, yeah, he has mind control powers, but how powerful are they? So I'm like, yeah, he's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I wouldn't want to run into him, but then again, you might have a chance against him. It just depends.
Exactly. I mean, it is Justin Long. Like, I feel like I could take Justin Long.
I mean, you probably could. I mean, you definitely could if there happens to be a car battery laying around.
I don't think I could take Joel McHale, but I'm pretty sure I could take Justin Long.
But yeah, that was my thought. Solid middle of the pack guy.
All right. Well, Jeff, it's time to do whatever the fuck it is we do in a little segment we like to call
Garbage Day! Huh? No!
So we don't necessarily have an email. We did get an email from Spencer, kind of just talking about the end of the Spooktacular and the return of
Yes.
of Christmas movies, and was fake complaining about us taking a week off.
Shout out to Spencer, the only fan of the show.
Yep. What was it? Last night you and I were messaging back and forth, and it's like a podcast about Christmas horror movies made for one guy in New York.
Yep, that's about the size of it.
We know there's other listeners out there. It's just
It just seems like that sometimes. But I mean, Spencer's great.
and the other people I have interacted with, everyone I've interacted with who listens to the show have all been really nice people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't necessarily like have an email that I wanted to read, but I was like, we're now like a week removed from October, and I thought it would just kind of be a good chance for you and I to just kind of discuss what we got up to in October during Halloween, stuff like that.
Well, I dressed up as Michael Myers to haunt the neighborhood on Halloween.
I saw that.
Did some trick-or-treating with the niece and nephew. It was their first year going out collecting candy. Not a lot of trick-or-treaters. It was kind of weird.
Very cold. And it wasn't very cold. We've had colder Halloweens,
Yeah.
but it was weird down here too in Des Moines.
Well, I remember one of the last times I went out trick-or-treating, I think I was 12 or 13, and it was snowing. And we still went anyway. I'm like, I'm getting my candy.
For those of you who don't know, in Des Moines, we normally trick or treat the night before Halloween.
Yeah.
We haven't since 1937, when a bunch of kids like sideswiped cars, burnt down businesses and stuff like that, and then they find like the city of Des Moines went, you're like new law. Trick-or-treating is the night before Halloween. You have to tell a joke to get candy. I think that was
Yes.
part of the law.
It's called Beggar's Night.
And yeah, we're gonna call it Beggars Night now. And so that became a whole thing. And so since 1938, we have trick-or-treated in Des Moines on October 30th.
Yes.
And this year there was a threat of tornadoes, hail, and thunderstorms, and they just went, all right, we're gonna postpone trick-or-treating. We're gonna move Beggars Night back to actually be on Halloween. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of weird. It was kind of different, but I felt like a lot of people probably already had plans because they didn't make this decision until like 2 days before. Mm-hmm. And so people are like, well, I could stay at home and hand out candy, or I could go do the thing that I was supposed to do.
Yep. Yeah, I think that probably was. Well, and see, there really weren't, it was just, there were less houses than I expected, but still plenty, and the people were giving out a ton of candy. But there was a lot less trick-or-treaters on the street than you would normally see.
Oh, I thought there were way less. We drove by one house that was like packed, and that was kind of it.
Well, and you see, that blew my mind when I found that out, because I thought everywhere did trick-or-treating the night before Halloween, and then Halloween was like for parents to go get drunk.
Yeah, same here. That's what I always believed.
Apparently that's just an Iowa thing.
And not even just an Iowa thing, a Des Moines metro area thing. Because when I went up to Sioux City, I was like, it was Baker's night. And I'm like, where are all the trick-or-treaters? And then the next night, and I'm like, wait, why the fuck are all these kids out now?
Yep.
And then, when you learn that nowhere else do you have to tell a joke to get candy.
Yes, I know. It blew my mind. It ruined my childhood, Jay.
It's the weirdest thing.
Things have gone woke.
It's the weirdest thing when you realize just how strange
Yes.
our weird tradition in Iowa is.
It's something I'd never considered.
But otherwise, Jeff, did you see any scary movies, do any haunted houses or anything?
I did watch a few scary movies. I busted out some of my Hammer movies. Horror of Dracula, one of my favorites. Christopher Lee has always been my favorite Dracula. I watched The Thing. Amber kind of half watched The Thing because she didn't want to watch it because she thought it was too scary. Which, I mean, it is scary.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But we ate a bunch of candy because, of course, as you do. See, I thought, the kids probably aren't going to get enough candy to share with us. So I went to Sam's Club and bought one of those giant bags with the Twix, Snickers, Three Musketeers, and dumped it into my giant boo bowl with the ghosts that say boo on the sides. I was like, all right, this can be adult candy, and then the kids can keep their candy. But then the kids got so much candy, they filled 2 Frankenstein tote bags with it. And I was like, well, they don't need all of that. So guess we have a lot of candy now.
Yeah, we do too. Strangely, actually, we came home from trick-or-treating because, I've got 3 kids. I want to be out trick-or-treating with them. My wife wants to be out trick-or-treating with them. Mm-hmm. So we leave out a bucket. All of our candy was gone.
Wow. Which
has never happened in the 4 years we've lived in this house. So that was very strange.
That's crazy.
And I don't, this is my childhood home that we record in. I don't think had happened in years that we'd gone through all of our candy. So that was pretty wild.
Just don't check your Ring doorbell camera, Jay.
Right.
You might see something that will shock you.
All right. I was 100% of the impression. I'm like, the first person came along, dumped all the candy into their bag and then left.
It definitely was not a shockingly fat Michael Myers that took all the candy.
But no,
live news update.
We went to the Haunted Garage out in West Des Moines. It's a small little home haunt where somebody essentially built a whole house in their garage, multiple rooms. You can kind of go through. It's a free will donation. It's a free kind of thing to go to, but you can basically be like, no scares, some scare, like light scares, medium scares, heavy scares. And so they kind of act accordingly.
Ah, okay.
And that was very cool. That was a very unique kind of experience and a thing where I turned to my wife afterwards. I'm like, we're going to come back for that. We did the haunted car wash at over at Tommy's Express.
I heard that one's good.
No, that was very good. We did, and then we went out to Zombie Hollow.
Yes,
out by Winterset.
We took the niece and nephew out to Zombie Hollow. We thought about going because we got discounted passes through work for the one they do at Adventureland, the Phantom Fall Fest, I think they call it.
I've heard from some people lately that one's been very lacking.
Yes, we almost bought tickets for it, but then someone at work said that they had went the weekend before and they were like, it's not worth it.
That's very disappointing.
That is, and I think it's just another symptom of the park. It used to be a cool independent theme park, and now it's been absorbed by, I think, the chain that owns Worlds of Fun.
I think so too.
And so it's become less cool.
And then, and as everyone knows, I work at Spirit Halloween, so got up to Spirit Halloween nonsense. And then also Scream Radio on the radio, did that. That was kind of the extent of my Halloween season.
I spent 6 hours with Nick Lutzko on his stream for Halloween, where he was selling. They were doing the final push to sell his Haunted vinyl, which collects all of his Halloween songs onto one record.
I know. I forgot to buy one.
I bought one. So if we have to, we can get together and listen to it next Halloween.
Oh, excellent. We've got to figure out how to do like more stuff just for the podcast, even if we're just streaming something on YouTube or something.
Yeah, YouTube, Twitch, we could do both. Honestly, it's easy to set up a simul stream.
Yeah, I was actually talking about something with Matt Dupay where like we do kind of a book club, and we have him like, Skype in or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just kind of do like a group kind of roundtable discussion, and people can type in stuff and whatnot.
That would be cool. Horror book club. I like it.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, that was kind of it for Halloween. If you want to get in touch with us, for our Garbage Day segment, send us an email, horrorfortheholidays@gmail.com. Get in touch with us on social media. We're all the places. We are at horror4holidays. Horror for Holidays.
YouTube.com/horror for the holidays. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, leave us a comment. Be like, Jeff and Jay fat, Jeff and Jay lazy as hell, took a week off.
What the fuck is wrong with Jay's voice? Why has it just gotten progressively worse over the recording of the episode?
And of course, the most on the nose criticism we've been getting, what, Jay, since the very beginning of this podcast. Why is Jay Logston so damn woke?
So woke.
Leave us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and be like, woke trash, woke nonsense. Can you believe that these guys actually care about other people? Woke.
Which is wild for a podcast that's just two fat white guys talking about movies.
Woke.
Tell a friend about the podcast. Spread the word. If there's someone you think would enjoy what we do here, tell them about it. There's no better way, I think, to spread word about a podcast than telling someone who you think would actually enjoy it. That's better than any review or anything else we'll do about it.
I agree. I trust, like, if Jay tells me, hey, listen to this, you'll probably like it. I trust that a lot more than just running across some random comment somewhere.
Exactly. No, I'm the exact same way. But yeah, otherwise, we'll probably be back next week with some kind of stocking stuffer.
I think so.
We'll see you again in 2 weeks with Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Other than that, thanks for listening.
Woke.
Bye. Cassie, stop.
We got a dog destroying the studio.
Yep. Got a new puppy.
Good thing Mayor Waters wasn't here. He wouldn't stand for this.